Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Dragons. It'll be a little different this time. I know that we had the online series that we were doing with the Wraithport series. We're kind of putting that on hold. We got some kind of scheduling issues, but for now, we're going to start up another series with Mr. Jason, who is Anton from the last campaign. He is actually going to take a stab at being a dungeon master, and I will be a player this time. So we'll switch out the roles, and we might have some technical difficulties because the internet's been dropping out a little bit, so we might have to cut this video into several videos while we fix the problem. But other than that, Jason, go ahead and take us away.
Alright, yeah, this is my first time DMing, so bear with me. So just a little backstory on our character that Tanner's going to be playing is named Gideon.
Yep. Gideon Perish.
Gideon Perish. He is a Tiefling Rogue, and had some bad things happen to him in the past. He lost his sister by ways of deception from an order called the Griffin Order, which was a corrupt society that was working against Gideon's father's society, the Ebon Eye. And they were a clan of thieves and assassins, and they kind of had their hands in everything. They weren't the worst in the world. They were kind of fair. But they were, underground society. Like people whispered about, kind of feared them a little bit, respected them more than feared, actually. And then the Griffin Order is politically corrupt. They wanted to get rid of them, so they framed Gideon here for his sister's death, which sent his brother Solomon to kill his own father because he knew he was part of the Ebon Eye, and he believed the Ebon Eye was at fault for his sister's death. And then he went after Gideon. Gideon, however, was exiled from the city and ran before his brother had a chance to slay him, and has now sort of taken upon himself to rebuild the Ebon Eye. Mostly been destroyed. A lot of the members who are well known are dead or imprisoned by the Griffin Order. A few pockets of resistance have scattered and survived still, and which takes us to our location, the city of Falls Point. It's a major port city. It's about a 2 days journey by boat from his hometown of Hardlock, which is where he was exiled from, which is also a large port city. But what led him to take the journey to this city is the fact that the Griffin Order has now decided, since they've secured Hardlock, that they want to expand and kind of get their fingers in some other pots and get some money going, some other places, get some political corruption going. And things you should know about Falls Point. It's a major port city, like I said earlier, and where the port is connected to a sea, and a river runs into the sea, and branching off the river is a magnificent set of waterfalls, which gave the town the name Falls Point, or the city, I should say. There's 4 districts. We'll get into that later on as our character gets here and he explores them and whatnot. And another thing to note about the area is something in the soil, whether it's magical or just a nutrient or, just bleeding in from another plane. The trees in the area, their leaves are normal, but the wood itself is like a rich red cherry color, which is really what helped the city expand so quickly and become such a major hub. Is the wood in the area, like the pine trees and the ash, the maple, all the trees are this beautiful cherry red, which will bleed over later on. You'll notice some of the shop names are named after that, but we'll get to that as he explores some more. So, Gideon learns that the Griffin Order wants to expand the city, and through a contact of his past, has learned that his friend is staying there and potentially has a job for him to do. And as an assassin, we can assume that it's probably going to be a bloody job. So I'll take it over to Gideon here now. And how do you arrive at the city?
Well, since it is a port city and I'm used to kind of the travel by sea, I'd probably go by boat just because that's the safest route, and I've known some people in the past who've done some shipments that I still have leverage with. I'd probably ride with them rather than try and do it on foot alone. Because that's the thing about Gideon, he's a Tiefling Rogue, as kind of depicted in the picture I drew over here. He's not necessarily the brawler type. He's not like the. He usually talks his way out of situations rather than trying to fight his way out. He's more at range, farthest from the combat as possible. He kind of works in deception. So he kind of tries to talk his way out of it because charisma is his highest skill. So he probably bargained with the shipmaster and kind of worked his way onto the ship rather than like taking it by boat or taking it by road or by caravan or something like that.
All right. So I assume it'd be a merchanting ship, bringing goods in,
Right.
probably. All right. So it's actually early afternoon, I would say, when the ship comes in, which isn't unusual for this town. They have ships coming and going at all times, and you notice something very distinct as the ship in the city comes into as the ship sails and the city comes into focus. That there's a large tower near the port, and you've never actually seen it yourself, but you have heard of it. There's a magnificent airship called the Iron Eagle, and it's massive from what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, today it doesn't seem to be near the city. But just a quick glance will tell you this tower is definitely where something of such a magnitude would stop and dock at the city to get more passengers, cargo, and all that. And it really just stands out because everything else around it is just like, small little like shops and market kind of stands and all this. And then you got the dock and places where they'd make boats and repair boats, and some docks where boats are actually still docked or coming in or leaving. And you see this, and it's you're kind of saddened because you want to see it, but at the same time, the continent's huge, so the fact that it's not here isn't very surprising.
Right.
And the crew's hustling and bustling, getting crates ready and all this. You probably walk out, and you're probably on the deck just waiting. And the ship you're on's rather small. It's not a huge trade vessel, probably medium size, I would assume. And as you talked to the captain earlier, the deal was you kind of just stow away, maybe help here and there if you're needed. But from what you've seen, the ship's not doing the best on the trade route, so you didn't really need to help at all. And the captain probably just let you on because he owed you a favor and your reputation. So go ahead and do a perception check for me.
Okay. Let me pull up my skills down here. Okay, so that'll be wisdom plus my proficiency, which is 2. Okay, so that's a 10.
Alright, so you look around and everybody seems busy. No one's lacking. And in fact, if anyone was slacking, it would probably be you. But then again, you're not there to work on the ship. You're just there for the ride. The boat's gonna come into the dock. You look around. You don't see anything out of the ordinary at all, and which is good because I mean, the city does have a reputation of being a little bit more criminal than other places.
Mm-hmm.
But you notice it's just a standard day. There's a lot of people busy, hustling and bustling around. One of the interesting things about the port is it serves for the main market area. So a lot of the shops are there, but mostly around the docks it's just market stands and stuff like that, just selling fish and odds and trinkets from other lands, exotic goods, just kind of trinkets more than actually anything useful, just like beads and stuff like that.
Right.
And so there's some well-to-do people shopping around, and most of them have like a hired guard with them, kind of like a mercenary, maybe even like a thug-looking character, just to dissuade anyone from starting any trouble.
Right.
What would you like to do as the ship docks?
I'll probably wait until they start offloading the cargo and kind of just blend in with the merchants and other people who are getting off the ship. I don't want to like make myself really known. He's not really he's still kind of concerned that since the Griffin Order is possibly trying to get roots here, that they might be able to spot him, and he doesn't want to have a confrontation unless they absolutely have to. So he'd probably want to just kind of wait until the opportune moment to get off the boat when the most amount of people are moving.
Alright. So the boat docks, and there seems to be some kind of problem with the captain talking to one of the people in the dockhand about his parking pass, sort of. And after a short period of time, the captain throws his arms up and says, "Fine," and pulls out a thing of gold and offers up more gold. And it seems to be the problem has been cleared up now that he's paid his dues. And people start loading and unloading crates. Do another perception check for me.
Okay. Perception. Dang it, really? Another 10.
Alright, so this time you notice there's a group of 3 men standing kind of like where all the docks come into the port, like where you would be walking to the market areas from the docks. And they seem rather distracted talking to somebody. It looks like in half-orc from this distance. It's pretty far away. It's probably about 100 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be arguing with him about something. One of them shove him, and when you see this, it's hard to make out the actual details of their armor, but the coloring matches the Griffin Order. And it kind of sends a chill down your spine that they have people actually watching the docks, because from what you'd understood, they hadn't really gotten the foothold here yet. They were just trying.
Right.
So the fact that it looks like they could already be here is kind of chilling. But then you notice a large group of people are getting off the ship, and it's mainly workers with their crates and barrels and goods like that. But you notice a few of the merchants that have been traveling along that you hadn't really seen much because they just stayed to their cabins are also leaving to set up their stalls or meet friends or whatever they do in the city. And this would probably be your best chance to get out without being noticed. What do you do?
Yep. I see the opportunity. I take notice that the Griffin Order are nearby, and I just kind of start blending in with the crowd. Don't talk to anybody. Just kind of make my way. I guess where did Demas? I guess my contact. Did he say to meet somewhere or where this potential job might be?
He told you to meet at the Red Pine Whorehouse.
Oh, yes. I mean, this is. You said it's like early afternoon, right?
Yeah, it'd be probably around 2 in the afternoon at this point.
Okay, it's starting pretty early then. Yeah, so I will try and blend with the crowd and head that way.
Alright, do a stealth check with advantage.
Alright, I should do good with that, because that's kind of my forte. Alright, so that's a 17 for the first one. And... oh, that's fair. 19.
Alright, let me roll for them. Ooh, they do not notice you at all. In fact, you've noticed that as you've been walking and mingling amongst the crowd, you kind of glance over, not conspicuously, but you kind of look over, because everyone else is looking over at this point, because this half-orc is now shoving one of the people, and they're yelling at each other, and a fist fight seems to have broken out, and they are completely distracted by that, and it's literally just 3-on-1, and this half-orc is just knocking them around, and they're all 3, oddly to you, you've noticed now that you're closer that they're humans instead of tieflings, because most of the Griffin Order are tieflings, and right now these are humans, so maybe they're not who you thought they were, maybe they still are. At this distance, you still can't really tell any symbols and stuff, and the Griffin Order doesn't really advertise very much other than just they use a specific set of colors, which you've come to notice is a blue with like a gold trim, kind of like a like paladin, think like a paladin's order or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the color scheme they use, and it plays in with their corruption because they are heavily involved in the church and political powers, so it's colors that make sense. But these might not be who you think they are just because they are humans instead of tieflings.
Right.
But you never know for sure.
And the Griffin Order is something that, like, they have the higher ups are tieflings because they're more devious, and but they do use like I've noticed that they've used other races. Pretty much anyone that they can get influence on, they'll use them. So, like, I take notice of that.
Because you are aware that they use other races as lower ranks, and these people probably would be lower ranks because they're just looking specifically for other tieflings, probably just because, I mean, this is a major city, so every race kind of comes here, even some stuff you wouldn't normally see. In fact, do a perception check for me.
Okay. That's a natural 20.
All right. So you know everything, but you notice, and it's kind of odd to you because um, most people are terrified of goblins and hate goblins, but there's actually a market stall with several goblins and a hobgoblin selling trinkets and goods. And they're kind of, just yelling at each other and bickering amongst each other. But they're also, occasionally, someone will walk up and buy something from them. It's hard to tell what they're selling, but from where you're at, you can actually smell some kind of foul stench coming from them. And you assume it's probably something that they grow in their caves, some sort of nasty mushroom or something. And you've noticed the people who are buying it, it tends to be the people who are well off, very rich clothing, and they usually send someone else to go get it for them. So chances are this might be some sort of enhancement to them, whether it's a sexual type thing or just any other like physical, intellectual or something. But it strikes you as almost odd that you see goblins there, because most of the time goblins just want to kill, and right now they're actually doing business and selling. And your basic knowledge, because your contact, when he told you where to meet him, he told you to meet him in the inner sanctum, or not the inner sanctum, but the inner district of the city. And you know the city has 4 districts from the letter. It has the outer, which is like farming and some closer to the wall. It's actually outside of the wall of the city, on the opposite side, so you probably wouldn't see much of this. But you know, because you've heard of this place, because it's pretty popular, that they have farms, and closer to the wall, a lot of the peasants and middle-class people live along the houses along the wall, outside the city.
Right.
Then you know the inner sanctum, which is where the upper middle class and even some of the lower super rich people live. And there's a lot of taverns there, some shops, usually general goods and trade goods, nothing specific. You might find a weapon shop or something. Then you're in the port area, which is open to the sea, which after getting a good look, you know that ships of both of the water variety and the sky variety probably dock here. And there's also a lot of markets, and closer to the city, this is also outside the wall, but closer to the city and the wall, there's some shops and maybe even some homes. And the homes would probably be like a shop on the bottom level than their home at the top level.
Right.
And they have a similar variety, but they have pretty much, if you're looking for something, you could probably find the shop for it. And then you've heard of the sanctum. This is where the nobility, royalty, and specialty shops, there's even like super fancy restaurants here, which is almost a foreign concept in this area, just because a lot of people are poor, but there's a few restaurants there that you know of, that you've heard of, stories at least. And then there's the church there, and this is a weird church because this city's more of a human settled city, so the fact that this church exists here is kind of odd to you. It's the Church of the Storm Shield, which is a Dwarven deity that protects them underground. It's a mountain dwarf thing, and it's more or less the religion of the city, although no one really follows any particular religion, and there are other religions, but most of the time people praise Storm Shield and all that. And then also of note, and this place is legendary, it's an enchanting shop. You're not quite sure of the name. You've heard it. People call it various things, but it's a enchanting shop for very specific enchantments and stuff, and it's located there. In fact, just to even get into it, you have to pay an entrance fee just to go inside the shop to buy. So it's very up to do. Only rich people would go there. You know from your letter that he wasn't super specific, but he did tell you his target would be in the Sanctum, which is that district, which towards the center of the city. It's fairly large, but it's also, you're going to have to deal with walking through the guards and whatnot to get there, so you think it might be best to try to look for the Red Pine Whorehouse right now.
Right.
But you might want to look around before then, because it's early in the afternoon, so you got plenty of time before you need to actually get there. So what would you like to do?
I would actually like to go to the goblins and ask them what their products are and see what's up with that.
All right. So as you walk up, go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw as you get close.
Oh, jeez. Let me see. Am I proficient in that? Let me see if I have proficiency in that. No, it's intelligence shoot. Okay, so it's just a +1. That's all I got.
Yeah.
8.
Alright, so as you get closer, you kind of gag, but you kind of stop for a second, and then you brace yourself. So you're fine. You don't feel it getting worse, and you recognize the scent as decaying flesh that you've smelled before. Um, it's pretty bad, but it seems to be not overwhelming, but just it's there, and it's kind of stinky. Some of the smaller goblins look at you and kind of they nod because they see you coming towards them. The hobgoblin looks over and kind of smacks you on the side of the head, like "Don't stare at our customers," kind of thing.
Right.
Says something in Goblin. You're not really sure. You don't speak Goblin, to my knowledge, do you?
No, I do not.
So he just kind of. He's like, I don't know what he said, and then he switches to Common, and he's like, "What you look for?"
I pull up my cloth over my nose. I look at him and say, what are you selling?"
He kind of looks down at the table like, "I'm selling these," and then kind of as a second thought realizes that you probably don't know what he's selling. So then he like opens the cloth of one of the things and you see it's very odd. It's a purple mushroom with yellow streaks through it, and then he kind of like, "This one good for," and then he kind of like motions down his groin. So you assume at this point that he's talking about
enhancements,
like, sexual prowess.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of opens up another thing. It looks like a clump of moss, but it's like a very pale gray, almost. Never seen anything like this before. And he's like, he kind of looks at this one and thinks for a second, then kind of points to his eyes. And he's like, "Help you see in dark."
Oh.
And then there's some other things there. He unwraps some meats that look like they've seen better days. And he's like, these good for you. They help you hit harder and stuff like that. Go ahead and do a insight check.
Okay. Let's see. So that would be my. Is that charisma or wisdom?
I believe it's wisdom.
Okay. Because I don't have proficiency in that. Oh, actually, I have the list right here. Inside.
I'd be down
It's
for
wisdom,
plus
yeah.
2. So let's see.
15.
Alright. You can tell that he's probably lying about that last one, and they're just trying to sell junk to people. And looking around, you see noble people who probably take his word for it, just because if they're buying mushrooms for enlargement, you can assume they'd probably also fall for other things.
Right.
What would you like to do at this point?
I kind of look at it and say, another time, perhaps, another time. And I kind of just start walking away.
It gives you kind of a dirty look as you turn to walk away, but I mean they're kind of used to being shunned because they're not a common sight. So he doesn't think much about it, and he goes back to talking to one of the goblins, more or less yelling at the goblin in Goblin again. So you don't know what they're saying, and then you walk away. Where are you headed as you walk away?
I guess I would just head to the whorehouse because I need to do my job.
All right, so you've never actually been here, but it's pretty easy to tell where everything is because things are kind of in an orderly fashion. The city definitely, whoever was in charge of planning buildings and setting buildings up, clearly knew what they were doing. So you walk past a couple of taverns, and one of them catches your eye. It's called the Red Ivy Inn, and you notice a symbol on the kind of etched into the doorframe there from your thieves' camp, and it's more or less, it's like a kind of like a double pyramid, like a pyramid on top of another one, with an eye connecting the two of them together, which you've heard and seen before that this is like a general thieves guild, not specifically known as anything. They're kind of a loose group of people. If one of them gets caught, even if it's like a leadership, no one else really falls because they have this strict honor code. As you walk by, and you notice that it's like etched into the door, kind of like where a gnome or a dwarf would notice it, not other people. It's kind of low to the ground, probably about knee height on you, and you just kind of notice that. But after a short journey, some clouds start to go in and over the sun, but it stays a sunny day. It's just partly cloudy at this point. It probably takes you about a half an hour to find the place you're looking for, and it's a looks kind of like a tavern that's been converted. It has some like purple drapes coming down from the second story, some awnings and stuff. And there's some unsavory women standing outside. And one of them kind of nods at you and smiles, but doesn't pay much attention because it's kind of early in the day for them to be doing what they do.
Right.
So they're kind of just standing out there socializing with each other. Some of them are actually eating what could be their breakfast, which for most people this would probably be lunch, but for them it's probably breakfast.
Right.
You think? You walk up to the door, you open the door, and go ahead and do a perception check for me.
Okay. That is a. Let's see. Perception. That's 20. Not naturally, but 20.
Alright, so you come in, you look around. There's a few people sitting here and there. Oddly, one of them's a dragonborn, a golden dragonborn, but everyone else seems to be human or elf. Maybe even some half elves in there. And there's a couple girls walking around, kind of like a strip club,
Right.
dancing for them, but they're still dressed. They're not nude or anything. And some of the guys are sitting there laughing, talking. Some of them appear to be eating like a late lunch, or maybe an early dinner. It's kind of like it's interesting because it's not a whorehouse you've ever experienced before, or heard of before, or like really heard of before. It's more of like a social place to meet, maybe play cards with your friends or something.
Mhm.
It's not as scandalous as some of the other ones you've heard of, or maybe even visited through your business.
Right.
It's kind of got an upscale quality to it, and it's kind of a nice place. It's well fabricated and all this. The furniture's nice. It's lowly lit, but it's still nice. The light's nice, and something that strikes you instantly is the fire. Instead of being just like the natural color of fire, it's got this purple hue to it. So it's an unnatural fire, which immediately relieves you because your friend, your contact, that's what he does. That's like he likes to do that with the fire, and it looks like he might be somewhere in the upper management, if not even the owner of this place. Which last time you saw him, he wasn't doing too well. So that's kind of good because the Ebony had just been slaughtered. He was one of the few people who actually wasn't on any of the lists, so he got lucky and just got off with kind of a beating. And he's been your true friend for a while, so you're kind of glad to see he might be doing well here. And you notice he's actually standing in the back with his back to you at a bar mixing a couple drinks, it appears. What do you do?
Well, I take my hood down. I kind of like let my horns kind of like move around a little bit because they've been constricted by the hood. So I kind of take the hood down. I approach the bar and I kind of just give him like a thieves can't knock, like a Marco kind of like.
As he hears that, he turns around and he's like, "Gideon, my good friend, I'm glad to see you. It's been a while. Unfortunately, we do have something to discuss, but maybe we should." He kind of looks around. Everyone seems to be very busy with whatever they're doing and not paying any attention to you or him. And he kind of like gestures to you to follow him as he carries a bottle into like a back room area.
I follow.
And he opens, like he pushes a curtain back and you sit down. It's like a very nice, kind of like a booth with very nice pillows to sit on. And there's a table in the middle. And from what you could tell, the table is large enough to where someone could actually get on it and dance.
Right.
And knowing the nature of the business, it probably has happened. But it also just, it's very overly clean almost. Like, someone's magically cleaned this place. So maybe this place gets a little crazy at night, you start to think to yourself. But right now it's fine and clean. Your friend sits down and puts the bottle down and pulls out two mugs from inside a jacket. Oddly enough, is kind of like, where were those? And you notice they're his personal mugs he got a long time from your father, actually. And they have the Ebon Eyes logo on them, and he sits there and pours a drink for himself and then pours a drink for you and kind of slides a cup over to you and pulls out a slip of paper and kind of sits there waiting for you to sit down.
Alright, I sit down and I take the mug. I look at the symbol. I kind of just like run my thumb over it, just kind of in memory, and then I take a small sip and then put it back down.
It's a interesting drink. It's probably not alcoholic. It tastes more like a fruit punch to you. Very, very sweet, almost too sweet. But it's a good drink. Something you would definitely, you wouldn't want to hammer it because you'd probably get a little lightheaded from the sugar rush, but it's a very pleasant taste. And he kind of takes a sip of his and sets his glass down. And he's like, he kind of just sits there for a second, looking over you, making sure nothing's different. He kind of closes one of his eyes and squints at you a little bit, making sure there's no illusions being cast, and kind of sits there for a second. And he's like, well, I can see it's definitely you. So, yeah, as my earlier letter told you, I was worried it would be intercepted, but luckily it didn't. That's why it was so vague. I'm glad you managed to find me and all that. I wasn't expecting you so soon, actually. Very, very glad you got here when you did, because tonight is the perfect night for this, because your target is throwing a party of some sort, and it's more or less to get other nobles on his side and supporting the Griffin Order. And the Griffin Order is paying him a large sum of gold, from what I understand, or something. I'm not sure what they're giving him some sort of favor, and he's very graciously accepted. And he kind of slides the paper over to you, and you've had contracts before, but this one's very different as you look at it. It's very vague, and it has like a numbered list of options, it appears. And as you look at it, it says your target is eliminate Fellheart. So your target's name is Fellheart. You assume that's probably his last name. And it says gear, fine clothes, and methods. And you're like, fine clothes, interesting. Kind of gets you thinking. And then the methods say, like, it's just like a little list of numbers. It says use Thieves Guild. And like number 2, stealth in and out. And 3, pose as a noble. 4 just says get it done. And it's kind of in a different handwriting. It's kind of like brutish looking handwriting. And then number 5 says talk to Beth. And then the payment says anything you take from his estate and his person, and 550, or not 500, wow, 150 gold up front, and another 150 after the deed. And normally they're a lot more detailed, they give you more schedules, and under all that information, it says Fellheart Manor, and then it's circled. Then it says location, sanction, or sanctuary, or the sanctum, actually, my bad. It says location, sanctum, which is the middle district. It says a huge manor. There's 3 ways in: the front door, the garden, which would be a second floor entrance, and then like a sewer basement entrance. So he kind of lets you read the contract and absorb it in, and he says, so what do you think? A little unorthodox, but I think you won't have any trouble with this one.
And I kind of look down at the list, and I look up him, and I look down the list and I say, did you make this one, or come from somewhere else?
Oh, it's come from several other people. I gave you option number 3, pose as a noble, because I know your style. But you might want to talk to Beth. She's one of the women here. She's a half-elf. She'll be in a green dress. She's probably out in the lobby right now. But if you tell her your name, she'll privately talk to you. She knows something about it. She's been hired by him before, so she might be able to give you some insight or information. I'm not entirely sure. We try to keep things away from each other so we don't get caught, or if we do get caught, we can't spill the beans on each other.
Right.
The Thieves Guild's also an interesting one, because wasn't really aware the Thieves Guild was here. So I don't really even know where to tell you to look for them at all, but I do know through whisperings that Vex is their leader. I believe her last name is Iron Eye. I believe she's a dwarf, but I'm not positive. Like I've said, I've heard whispers from customers and whatnot, and not really sure anything about them. But there might be someone you want to talk to, and then obviously, your typical ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
The man who delivered this to me was a half-orc. I believe he gave you option number 4 that says get it done. He's kind of brutish. Missing one of his eyes. I believe it's his left eye. Looks like he has a scar from some sort of creature. But he was polite enough for a half-orc. And that's all I can really tell you right now. Oh, my apologies. He pulls out a sack of gold and sets it on the table. Here's the 150 for the upfront. Okay. And he kind of stands up and he's like, I'll be right back, and leaves the room. And He's gone for longer than you would think. So, what do you do while he's gone?
I take the gold. Um, I kind of read over the contract again. Um, and then I kind of consult the possibilities and think about how much notoriety I want from this, because I know I'm trying to gain influence, but at the same time, this kind of betrayal was fairly recent. It only happened a couple months ago. Um, so I probably want to still lay low, and like I'm not sure I would go with the Thieves Guild because Thieves Guild would. That's just another person that would know I'm here that could cause troubles if someone found out who I was and I was in this place. So I was just kind of mulling over how much I'm willing to go and who I'm willing to trust in this situation.
All right. After what seems like an exceptionally long time, he comes back in with a. It's like a backpack, but it's only designed to carry clothes, oddly enough. And he pulls out a very, very, very regal set of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is probably like a 200 gold set of clothing. It would be for someone who is very well to do, and kind of like puts it on the table and he's like, well, this is if you want to try to sneak in and whatnot, just in plain sight, but I know that can have its implications and whatnot. I looked for Beth. I didn't happen to catch her out in the front room, so she might be outside in one of the alleyways near here. If you do want to talk to her, that's not necessary at all, but if you do, she probably could give you some information and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry it took me so long. I was looking over my books and just to see if I could help you locating Vex, and I didn't find anything. She doesn't come here often, or at all actually. She's only been here once, and she shook me down for some gold, which wasn't really a shakedown, more of just a, hey, give me some gold, and I said no, and she kind of, just disrespectfully pushed me, then left. But nothing major. This more of a punk than anything. But she hasn't been back, and that's been almost 2 weeks since then. And I figure if they were going to act on it, they would have come back by now. So they might be hurting themselves a little bit, and all that. So I'll leave you to it. If you need anything else, I'll be here most likely. If I'm not here, I'll be. Let me think. Where do I go today? I'd probably be down somewhere in the port looking for some meats and stuff to sell to my customers. But otherwise, those will be the two places I would definitely be. Would be here or the port. And he kind of stands up, takes a glass, takes a large sip from his glass, and you kind of see on his face a pain expression because it's a very sweet drink.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like takes the bottle with him in his mug. But leaves your mug there and walks out. It leaves you to do what you need to do.
Yeah. So I look at him and I say, no offense to your goblin kind, but I wouldn't trust the meat vendors and the shrooms unless you know them already.
He chuckles at this and he's like, "Oh, I don't buy from them.
Okay,
Some of
good.
my customers do, but I don't."
Okay. Just wanted to give you the heads up in case you didn't know.
Thank you, friend. And he kind of bows to you and then leaves the room to attend back to his business. He was probably this conversation probably took about 40 minutes,
Right.
and it's gotten a little more busy inside. But you're still in the private booth, but you can tell by the amount of conversation that you can hear that there's probably a lot more customers at this point now. So, what would you like to do?
I would like to kind of take the pack that has the finer clothes, and I would try to go outside and ask some of the ladies of the evening where I could find Beth.
Okay, as you step outside, there's several of them there. They kind of look at you and kind of smile. Just it's what they do. You've been around people like this before, so you understand the stuff they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do a perception check.
Okay. Ugh. That's a 9.
You look around and you don't see a woman dressed in green. So you walk up to the ladies that were just eyeing you over a second ago, and they kind of say, "Oh, hi, how you doing, mister? You looking for a good night?" And to which you respond,
Uh, Looking for someone in particular, a favorite of mine. Have you seen Beth around?
at the name of Beth, she kind of frowns, and she's like, "Everyone always wants Beth." Ugh. But she's like, "I have seen her. She's around the other side of the building. She's doing laundry or something. I don't know. She's just in the alleyway, and she kind of points behind you, and it's about 20 foot to the nearest alleyway. Do another perception check."
Okay. And as like I'm going to walk away, I kind of flicker a coin.
Which she takes immediately and kind of thanks you, and her disposition kind of goes back to being more friendly than aggravated again.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns to her friend and starts talking.
Oh, that's a natural 20. I'm using.
So-
I'm burning all my 20s. This isn't good.
As you come around, or as you turn around, you notice one of the people you saw earlier in the port is standing at the end of the alleyway. Luckily, he's got his back to you and probably hasn't noticed you. He appears to be talking to one of the other ladies that are around the area,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of like glances over his shoulder. Doesn't see you as he glances. It's like a quick nervous glance because he doesn't want to be spotted, obviously, by any of his comrades, because he appears to be embarrassed by what he's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as you walk closer, you're kind of being as sneaky as you can without drawing attention to yourself. There's some other people walking along the alleyway, so you kind of follow them as you go towards this alleyway. And he kind of like does the nervous glance over his shoulder again, but doesn't look far enough to see you at all. And then the lady kind of takes him by the hand and like starts walking him away, so he kind of disappears out of sight. As you come around the corner, you happen to notice there's a lady sitting at a stool by some water, wearing a particularly nice dress for the ladies who've been out that you've noticed around. And you notice she is a half elf, so this is probably who you're looking for. But she seems to be pretty busy with her laundry, so she doesn't seem to notice you coming down the alleyway.
So I've come up beside her and I take some of the laundry and I start doing it, and I kind of pull up a nearby stool and just start sitting down and doing the laundry at the same time.
She's not used to anything like that ever happening, so she kind of jumps a little bit as you do, and then she kind of says, "Thank you, sir," and then kind of whispers, "Are you Gideon?" And just keeps doing the laundry.
And I would say, I presume you're Beth.
And she kind of nods. "Yeah, I am." She nods to you, then says, "I hear you're going after the Fellhart man. He's hired me before and taken me to his manor. He's got a lot of guards. But more importantly, he's one of the few people in the city that use mastiffs. He has guard dogs. They're pretty big beasts. I mean, something of smaller folk. I've actually seen gnomes ride them down at the track before in like races and stuff. But he does have several of those, and he's quite proud of them. There are a couple ways into the house. The basement probably wouldn't be a good idea because that's where a lot of the servants are. The second floor might be a good bet through the garden, although you'd have to be pretty agile to make it without being noticed. And then there's several doors that you could enter, but they might draw attention because they are well guarded. When you do see him, make sure he suffers quite a bit. He's not a very good person." She kind of keeps looking around as she's talking, but she's talking in whispers, so there's no way anyone around would hear what you guys are talking about as long as you kind of keep it at this tone.
Right.
And she kind of finishes up with what she's doing and puts some things out to dry and kind of turns back around, and she kind of gives you this look, kind of pauses and doesn't want to tell you this, it looks like, and she kind of shakes it off and doesn't say anything.
I look to her and kind of wring out the laundry that I have, and like wring out really tightly, and then kind of let it loose, and then go to hang it up. And just say, if you want me to make him suffer, you're going to have to tell me everything.
She kind of looks down and she kind of like lets out one of those like sighs, and she's like, "Fine, I'll tell you." So he used to pay the Thieves Guild quite a bit to procure paintings and such for his estate, but they had some sort of falling out, and he killed a lot of people, or maybe he didn't kill them himself, but he had them executed. And then she kind of looks over her shoulder, kind of very spooked at this next part. Looks around again, just way overly cautious, and this strikes you as a little bit odd. She's like, "So I've never actually been in the basement, but there were sounds down there. People sounded like people were being tortured. I'm not positive. It spooked me, and he kind of caught me wandering and was kind of mad and struck me a few times. So I didn't think anything of it. But when he had me leave through the kitchens, which go through the basements. And as we were going through the basements, we heard a large, it was like a screech of like an unnatural creature coming from deeper in the basement. And at that, he kind of turned and walked down that way and forced me out and whatnot. And I was escorted out by several of his guards. So there might be something down in the basement going on. I don't know what it is, but it seems sinister. And with that, she seems to have come clean with everything that she could have told you. And kind of finishes hanging up what you had in your hands and whatnot, and kind of looks at you and then back to her stuff, and then kind of sits down on the stool. She's like, "If that's about all I know, I don't think I could be of any more help."
I kind of nod and say, "Do you know where I can find him, where his favorite places are, or anything like that?"
I unfortunately I can't, because I mean I've only been there like when he's not throwing parties and stuff, and it's kind of a private night thing with me and whatnot. So I would assume his schedule would be quite a bit different. I know his bedroom's relatively close to the second story entrance in the garden, but other than that, I couldn't tell you where he'd be. He has a study on the ground floor he might frequent, and then I assume whatever's going on in the basement might be of interest to him somehow. But other than that, that's the three places if I had to guess, that he would probably be in.
Right. So I kind of nod to her and say thank you, and then as I'm turning away, I kind of turn back to her and say, "That name, my name, is something that's not safe to say anymore. So I would prefer you don't spread it. And if you know what's good for you, keep it to yourself."
She kind of nods understandingly, and she's like, "Yeah, sorry, I was kind of nervous. And your friend, my boss, he told me that you'd probably introduce yourself, but I wasn't expecting anyone at this time, so I kind of jumped the gun on that one. I'm sorry." And she kind of stands back up and like starts to head down the alleyway the way you came in, like she's going into work or something at this point. And she's like, I understand, and trust me, no one will know we talk." And kind of disappears around the corner.
Okay. All right. With all that information, I take a minute to kind of weigh my options. I would say, let me ask you this: if I had my fine wear, like my finer clothes, could it still sneak through the garden and still have that on, or would I have to like remove my leather armor?
You've noticed looking at the clothes, it's for someone who would be maybe more portly than you. So you figure you could probably actually wear it over your armor, and no one would know you're wearing armor, sort of outfit.
Okay.
And it's nice clothes, and it is maneuverable, so you could try to sneak with it pretty easily. You look kind of like filling it earlier and all that. You would definitely be able to use it in stealth at the same time.
Okay. What color is it?
It's like a harvest pumpkin orange. It's kind of ugly, in honesty, but it's like orange and then has like brown accents along it. Something that someone who was very rich would wear, but obviously because it makes such a statement, not because it actually looks good.
Right.
So you.
Yeah, I look down at it and I look at kind of my pale, like red, like skin, and said, it doesn't really complement the color tones. And he just says that note to himself. But he'll keep it packed up. He won't put it on. It's still like kind of like afternoon, I'm presuming.
Right. Yeah, it's probably about 4 o'clock now. So
Okay.
the sun's starting to set, but not. It's still high in the sky.
All right. I'll start heading towards the sanctum and like start heading towards that estate and just like maybe do a walk around or two just to get the lay of the land.
All right. So on your way, you walk there, and it takes a little while to get there because you're in the inner area, but you're kind of on the edge of the inner area or the inner district. So as you walk, it takes a little while. Uh, you kind of do keep an eye out for anybody wearing the blue and gold coloring, but you don't see anybody. They're probably only posted down in the entrances of the city and whatnot. And it doesn't look like they've really established a foothold because they only had 3 people down there, and the dock's really busy.
Hmm.
And as you walk, you go along, you see some people begging and whatnot. But as you get closer to the sanctum, no one's really begging anymore. People are dressed nicer. Um, as you get there, you kind of go through like an inner wall. There's like a second wall of the city, and it's striking how different it looks because in the inner area it's just buildings and some shrubbery and bushes and stuff, but no trees or anything. This area's got trees lined down the streets, and there's like these magnificent um, bushes, like almost taller than you. Like you could like think of like a hedge maze or something like that. And it's just like along there, and they got these nice fences up, and you walk along, and there's one estate that stands out, and this is probably the Fellhard estate. You think to yourself because it's very large, and you were told it was a larger estate, and it's got the outer gate, and then you see it has this luxurious garden, and the garden's more off to the side of the main entrance, so you could probably get in there. You think pretty easily without being noticed. But you do notice at the main gate there are a lot of people, kind of standing there waiting around, and what strikes you instantly is just the amount of people. It's like 40 people kind of just waiting. Almost like it looks like they're like protesters at first. But then you realize that they're waiting to get in, and the estate's not quite open yet. And they're there early, obviously, because there's some guards standing at the gate and whatnot. But then, go ahead and do a perception check.
Okay. That's a 13.
So you notice this. They're all dressed in the same ugly-ass clothes that you got. It seems to be like a theme, like, that's what they were given to go to the party. So that might be the invitation itself, is that outfit. And you notice there's a few people who aren't dressed in that outfit standing around, kind of like looking around, like, come on, let us in, kind of idea. And all that. And you kind of turn back around, looking away from this, because you don't want to draw attention to yourself, because you're kind of... I wouldn't say you're out of place, because you look like you could be someone's guard with the gear you have on. And yeah, I assume you have robes over your armor, or like a cloak or something disguising that you're just wearing armor and whatnot. So you probably do look like someone they would hire to like walk around the ground and stuff. And you notice as you walk back around towards the garden side, there's a couple guards. There seems to be one standing up on the entrance to the building itself. Then there seems to be another one patrolling the actual garden itself with a mastiff. And the dog's wearing a purple and silver armor walking around. You kind of look at the guards, and they're all wearing like purple and silver armor as well, or at least the coloring of their gear is purple and silver. And they're kind of patrolling around. They don't look to be too alert, because I mean nothing really ever happens here, so they're more or less just there for the paycheck, kind of smiling. And you walk around, and as you walk around the corner of the building, you see there's like a cellar entrance, which you assume would be the basement entrance. And it is well guarded. There are 4 guards, 2 of them standing down the stairs a little bit. You can still see them because they're not all the way downstairs, but they're standing about halfway down the stairs, kind of talking to the other guards at the top, and the other guards at the top are talking. And do another perception check.
Okay. That's not fair. 9.
So You're not positive, but you think you can hear claws clattering coming down from echoing out from the stairs up to the street. So you probably your best guess would say there's at least one dog down there with probably another guard walking him around, actually inside, but it's very faint and you're not positive you actually even hear it. It could be other noise. There are birds and stuff flying around, and there's a lot of wildlife, like insects making noise and like cicadas just buzzing around and whatnot. And you come around on the opposite side of the house is the garden, and there's doesn't seem to be any good entrances over here because the only entrances you see that would be accessible are windows
Mm-hmm.
up off the ground pretty high, so you'd have to climb to get in them. And they look like very elaborate windows, so it'd probably take a moment or two to open them. And the thing that's most discouraging about it is there is another mansion on this side of the house, relatively close, and it seems to be the front of the building. And there's some people outside. They appear to be enjoying the good weather, and they're just kind of laughing and talking amongst themselves. A couple of them glance over at you, but they don't give you a second look. They just like kind of glance back because seeing people patrol are kind of normal in this area, so they don't really take much notice of you. And you kind of realize to yourself if you were to try to climb in here, even late, it would be kind of hard,
Mm-hmm.
just because they're right there staring at it. And maybe later in the night they might not be there, but they have some lanterns up, so you assume they'll probably be out late. So that looks like it's not a good way in at all.
All right.
And you kind of come around to the opposite side of the crowd, and they're all standing there. And it appears the gates have now opened as you've walked around the house. It's taken a few minutes, probably about 15 minutes to walk all the way around the house. It's a very large estate and whatnot, and a lot of it was blocked by like fencing and hedging, so you couldn't really see everything you wanted to see. But you get a really general idea of the best access points would be the front gate, the garden, and then the basement looks a little bit too dangerous for your liking, but you might be able to work something out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of notice they're letting the people dressed in that awful garb in, and one of the people who aren't dressed in it, the guards kind of push him back, and he's like, "Hey, I was on the list. I just forgot my clothes, and they were too ugly to wear." And you notice this is a dragonborn. He's a black dragonborn, and he's like, "I wouldn't wear that anyways. It doesn't compliment me at all." And the guard pushes him back again, and he's like, "I wouldn't push me again." And like a big brutish orc, kind of like, or half orc, walks up and kind of stands there. And the guard, you notice now actually that you're closer, you notice they're elves. And the orc kind of puffs his chest up, or the half orc puffs his chest up, and the elf kind of puts his hand on the sword, and the orc kind of backs down at this. He's like, "Oh, maybe we should just leave, sire." And the dragonborn kind of goes, "Huh," and just walks away. And you notice the couple of the other people who aren't wearing the clothes at this point realize they're not going to get in through this method, so they turn around and leave as well. Some of them, however, do stay. Like they're going to test their luck, and everyone's kind of patted down at the gate. Not a very good pat down, but more or less just to make sure they don't have like anything on their hip, and then they let them in.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
What does the half orc? What kind of? If he's wearing like his normal armor, or is he in like more fancy attire as well for the bodyguard for the dragonborn?
He is wearing a fancy robe, it appears, and it doesn't look like he's more or less anything than someone who kind of just stands in the background and tries to look tough. He's definitely not wearing any armor. He does have a staff on his back though, which kind of stands out.
Mm-hmm. So I just stand kind of in the shadows, kind of in the alleyway, looking at the front door, kind of thinking about my options.
As you think, another large, almost the same size as the first group of people, wearing the same ugly brown and orange clothes, or orange and brown, I guess. It's more orange than brown.
Mhm.
Has brown accents. You notice an even larger group of them come, and they're all nobles, and some of them have this like kind of looking at each other like, "Oh, these clothes are terrible," but whatever. It's our invitation in, and they're walking. You notice another group really far down the street, like all the way down the street, are coming this way too. So it looks like he has a lot of people coming in. and it looks like they'll be coming in for probably the next hour or so, just based on the number of them and how slow the gate is moving. So you do have some time before you have to make any decisions on this. Do a stealth check
Okay.
with advantage.
Ooh, that's good. Oh, I'm glad I got advantage. That's that's 21.
Okay, so you kind of nervously look around just because there are a lot of people now, and you are kind of standing off to the side, so no one notices you at all. Like everyone's just like walking along. Do a perception check.
Okay.
And while you roll,
Oh,
what'd you roll?
7.
Okay, so you glance around, and it's really hard to tell from where you're at, but it looks like there's someone in the bushes across from like the garden. And from the distance, and just because there's a lot of people in between you, it's very hard to tell if there's actually someone there, if it's maybe just some wind. And no one else seems to have noticed it. You don't know for sure if it's even anything going on, but it did kind of catch your eye because it's just a few of the bushes and shrubbery in that area are moving around. But you're too far to hear anything or see anything. And you kind of look around again, and the guard, like city guards, they're dressed in like a plate armor. They have these shields and long swords kind of at their hip,
Mm-hmm.
and they're walking along, kind of like they're not used to this many people flocking into one house, so they're kind of making sure the crowd doesn't start any trouble and whatnot. So they're not paying any attention. They don't even notice you. They actually literally walk right by you, walking up towards the crowd. And like, if they'd have looked, they probably would have saw you. But like, you're just kind of motionless in the shadows, so they didn't even feel your presence. And they kind of walk by, and you notice on their shields they have the picture. It's interesting because it looks like almost like a cloud with like a lightning bolt coming out of it, and you think back to when you first entered the area, and you remember passing like kind of like a church looking area, and the same symbols there. So it kind of clicks in your head that that's probably the storm shield guard, which would probably be employed by the city and whatnot. So they might be a little dangerous if they were to catch you because they're probably well trained compared to the state guards.
Mm-hmm.
And the state guards don't look like pushovers, but they're more or less, they have an easy job where these people probably actually train constantly. When they're not out patrolling, they're probably training or sleeping kind of thing.
Right.
And these look like the city defenders. Like they would be, if something attacked, they would be on the front lines fighting it. And you see another set of them farther down the road, kind of by the other crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of realize maybe they're actually here to escort the crowds just because there are so many of them. And they kind of look uninterested in what they're doing because they're not used to doing this kind of thing. But they don't seem to pay much attention. They're more interested in making sure the crowd doesn't fight, because some people are pushing and trying to get in line first, because the gate is moving relatively slow. Because there's only one guard checking people. The other two guards are off to the side talking. They're more there if something happens to show muscle. They're not there to help. And you notice now that the line is formed more orderly. You can see the guy that's checking them is wearing different armor than the other two guards. He looks to be a captain. He has a helmet on. The other ones don't have helmets, and his armor looks a bit more robust than theirs. And it's probably cleaner looking from the distance, but it's hard to be for sure. But you would say he's probably in charge of the gate, at the group at the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you like to do?
I would like to make my way over to that bush, whatever's going over there, and try and see what's going on. While I do that, let's see. So, are the gates, or the front doors, are they closed? Like, do they close them when like they don't let people in, or are they always open?
The gates to enter the compound or the mansion itself, or the doors for the mansion?
The doors for the mansion itself.
Right now they are open, and you now notice as you walk by, because you couldn't see it from where you're at before, there is a guard standing there, and people are signing their names as they enter the thing and whatnot. And some people aren't signing their names, some of them are. Doesn't look like it's required to sign in, but some people are doing it just to be respectful and whatnot. And the guard's kind of sitting there. He seems more alert than the other guards, which is odd to you because they've already made it through the security gate, so it's kind of odd. But the door is open, And you notice every now and then he kind of does like turn around and like check the inside of the house
Hmm.
and then look back outside. But he's there more or less ushering people, and he doesn't seem to be inspecting anyone. He's just let it, like they've already made it in. He's just ushering them. If they have a question or something, he might answer it and all that.
Gotcha.
And he seems alert. He seems to be a new guy almost. Like he's taking his job too seriously.
Right. And
But
the
the doors are open.
and the front gate, is that like, do they close it when someone doesn't have an ID or I have the outfit, or is it always open and the guard just kind of let them
Uh,
through?
One of the guards is holding it open, so you assume when the crowds disperse that they will close the gates again.
Hmm.
But you notice the gate. It's an older style gate, so it'd probably be pretty easy to climb pretty quickly.
Hmm.
And just your knowledge of looking at some of the other estates, they have their gates closed and whatnot. They don't appear to be having any activities going on, and they might not even be at their house. Some of their gates are similar, and they're closed, and there's usually a guard standing by them or
Hmm.
near them. Maybe not actually watching the gate itself, but just standing in that general area. If something were to like try to climb the gate, they would hear it. So you can assume once the party started, they'll probably leave a guard out there on the gate.
Right.
But
Yeah, I'll head
best you
towards
can
the. Oh,
tell,
yeah. Go ahead.
okay. The best you could tell, the gate will be closed once all the guests have arrived.
Right. Yeah, I'll head over to the bush and just take note of that.
All right. So as you head over to the bush, make a another stealth check real quick
Okay.
with advantage.
Oh wow. That's another 21.
All right. So no one notices you. You do notice as you get closer. Do a perception check.
All right. That's a little better. That's 11.
Okay. So you notice there's definitely someone in this bush, and you can tell now that you've gotten closer that there's probably multiple people in this bush, and they seem to be sneaking towards the basement entrance, from what you can tell. And another thing you notice is they're probably not. They're probably smaller folks. So gnomes, dwarves, halflings, something like that, because the way the bushes are moving, if it were a full-size person, it'd be much more obvious. It's kind of subtle from where you're at, but you pay a lot of attention to detail in your line of work, so you kind
Hmm.
of notice that this isn't something you would normally see. But to someone else who lives here, they probably wouldn't take a second glance at it or even notice it in the first place. What would you like to do?
Um. So how they're still like pretty far away from the basement
They're,
entrance. They're just like sneaking towards that way.
they're closer to you than the basement, but you can tell they're heading in that direction.
Okay. Um. I kind of There's so many options. It's crazy. Um. Okay. I'll wait for them to get closer to the. I'll wait for them to get closer to the basement door and see what happens over there.
Okay, so it's not that far of a walk, but they're moving painfully slow towards the gate
Hmm.
or the cellar entrance or basement entrance, and you're kind of waiting. You get a little impatient, but um, they are continuously moving, and you realize that there's more than one of them based off the way they're moving, and it takes a little while, but they get there, and they stop, and from where you're at, you can hear. Because you're downwind of them, you can sort of hear little bits of conversation. And it takes you a second to realize that they're speaking in Dwarvish, so you can't understand what they're saying. But you now understand they're probably Dwarf because you have heard Dwarvish or Dwarven before.
Right.
So you understand they're Dwarf probably, and they seem to be arguing a little bit. And the guards at the cellar haven't taken notice of this at all. They're completely oblivious to it. And all of a sudden, you notice around the corner, relatively close to that position, probably about 30 yards away or 30 feet away from where the dwarfs are at, the actual storm shield guards come around the corner, and it's like they died. It gets silent, no movement. These guards are probably more alert than the other guards, so whoever's in the bushes has spotted them, and have realized they need to shut up and not move. And the guards are walking towards you at this point. They kind of get about halfway to you. What would you like to do?
I would like to. I'm gonna use a little thaumaturgy. I'm gonna use some of my cantrips to do a little distraction to help out whoever these people are.
Alright, what would you like to do?
So, according to the spell, I can use 3 different 1-minute effects at once, and I can dismiss
Okay.
them as an action. So, I'm going to cause a little anarchy with the front gate. I'm going to, because let me read off of them. If you have the PDF, it's on page 260. If you want to look that up, just keep me in track. But I would like to, let's see. I would like to use the instantaneously cause an unlocked door or window to fly open or slam shut. So I would like the front door and the front gate to slam shut, and then
So
I would like to
as you do
use.
that,
Oh, go ahead.
pause for a second. You've noticed the Dragonborn that had been rejected earlier is back in line, and he's actually towards the front of the line now, wearing that ugly orange and brown thing. So you've noticed him as the door slams shut and the gate slams shut. The guard's like, what the hell? Because he was literally holding the gate, and it just boom, like as he was holding it. So like all the guards kind of turn and look at him. The door slams shut on the front door, and the guard up there is kind of like, what the hell? So really quickly he opens the door up real quick. The other guards are now all staring at the one guard who they think at this point has slammed the gate shut, like almost in a fit of rage.
Mhm.
What else would you like to do?
I have one more. Let's see. Let's see. Which one would be the most interesting to do? I'll do, hmm. I would like to cause a harmless tremor in the ground around the front entrance, like where all the people are at. I want there to be like a small tremor that kind of feels like an earthquake.
Okay, so as the guard look at this other guard, completely like pissed off at him, the ground starts to shake and people kind of scream out in shock and awe. And from what you know, this area has never really been prone to earthquakes, so this is a completely new experience for all these people. Someone actually falls down, being way over dramatic about this. And then you notice that it's actually the Dragonborn who
Oh.
was there earlier. And then his orc companion kind of bends over to pick him up, and some of the guards run out to help. The guard at the door stays at the door. You notice though, like the mansion door. The ones at the gate kind of stay there. One of the patrols with the mastiffs runs up to the gate to help secure it. The two storm shield guards that were walking down the street hear people screaming and hear slamming of gates and stuff, and they're like, "What the hell?" So they don't draw their weapons, but they get their weapons ready. They kind of have their hand on their sword hilt. They run around the corner, completely past you. They don't even give you a second look, and they're sitting there like, "What's going on?" And they're kind of trying to help people back to their feet, and people are overly dramatic. Some people appear to have almost fainted from this. It's just complete chaos at the front gate right now.
Good, you're good.
And then there's a lot of noise. People are yelling and arguing, and the Dragonborn is just grief-stricken, like, "Oh, I've fallen, I've hurt," and like people are like kind of circling around him, like, "Oh no!" And this is someone you can tell now at this point. He's way over dramatic.
I would like to, at this point, see the guards that are leaving, seeing that there's a big distraction, seeing that the dwarves are going to do something. I would like you said that there's the garden. You said that there's like the shrub. Can I climb over that while this is all going on? Like after the guards pass away, like move around.
Yes, you can. So you do that and do a
Is it like a stone wall or is it like a shrub?
it's like a half stone wall.
Okay.
So it's about waist high stone, and then there's like dirt inside of it, and then the shrubs are planted inside of it. So you could either climb over them or even probably through them. However, you notice they're well maintained, so if you were to go through them, you would probably leave a hole which might be detected, might not.
Right.
So would you like to climb over this, or would you like to climb through it?
I guess I would use my acrobatics to try and get over it rather than through it.
Alright. So go ahead and make an acrobatics check.
Okay, 1 second here. Let me get my sheet.
I'm gonna give you advantage too because
All the
distraction
chaos.
that's going on.
Alright. Well, that's a natural 20 on the first roll.
You don't need the advantage. So you come up to this wall, you kind of look at it for a second, put your hand on the concrete, on the top of the stone, put your foot up there, and like with all your might, you just pull yourself up with that one leg and just literally gate completely over this, land completely silently on the other side. You now notice that the guard with the mastiff that you saw running to the gate was the guard that in fact was patrolling the garden. So no one in sight. The guard up at the top of the balcony, he's looking over the edge, trying to look around the corner to see what's going on. He can see some people in the commotion, but he doesn't see what's actually going on or what's happening. So he's distracted right now. Then you hear some yelling off from where the dwarfs were, and it's kind of hard to see through the bushes, but you could see one dwarf kind of like running, and you see 3 of the guards chasing him from the cellar door.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
The guy on the balcony, is he wearing thick armor, or is it like I have average armor?
It would be like average armor, but he's completely more interested in whatever's going on than actually paying attention. So you could probably sneak around him if you needed to. And you hear some of the people still yelling, and the guards are like, "Calm down, calm down."
While this is all going on, and it would give me the advantage for, not like advantage for rolling, but it would give me a sneaking advantage that, seeing that there's no one else in the garden, he's on a balcony, I would like to take out my crossbow, my heavy crossbow, and I would like to try and take a shot at him.
Okay, so you had advantage on the attack.
Okay.
So roll for that.
Alright, so it's my crossbow, so it's +4, and that's a 9. Alright, so that's better. So that's, I don't know if it'll hit, but that's a 13.
It does hit.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm going to say, since he's completely unaware, and I know ranged weapons don't normally get sneak attacks, but
they get like sneak attack. Ranged weapons get sneak attack, but it's not like
they get advantage.
They don't get advantage on being flanked. Yeah, right.
Okay, so yeah, no, my bad on that.
You're good.
So yeah, go ahead and roll for damage.
Okay. Ooh, jeez. That'll be 10 damage.
Is that with your sneak attack?
Oh, yeah, I need to get my sneak attack. So that's a D6 as well. Oh, that's another 6. That's 14 damage.
How would you like to do this?
I would like to, I see that he's leaning around. I would like to shoot him, like, I'm trying to think of how it would work. I'd like to shoot him, like, in the heart, so, like, pretty much kills him instantly, but so he falls off the ledge and falls into the garden, so I can try and, like, sneak him off and try and hide him somewhere.
Okay. So he is leaning dangerously over the railing, and he's exposed most of his upper torso to you at this point. And your shot comes in, the arrow pierces like through under like his arm,
Ooh.
and he kind of instantly just ragdolls. Like he just limp, and since he's leaning so far over, he just plummets head first into the ground.
Ooh.
And surprisingly, it's a relatively quiet thud as he hits the ground because he lands in the grass, and it's just like kind of sound. And there's no way anyone heard that. Too much commotion. The ground's still shaking from the tremors probably because you hopped the fence, got your crossbow out. So you probably got 15 more seconds of this tremor going on, and people are still kind of like screaming and whatnot. And this guard's body's now on the same level as you, and he's dead.
Okay. I would like to take his body, like slide it next to a shrub, like because it's a garden. I'll just take it, put it next to a thing, and like try and hide him haphazardly, I guess, and like at least make it look like he's sleeping, rather than like that's why I didn't shoot him in the head. I wanted to make it so he can lay on the side that has the wound, and just make it look like he like, fell asleep on the job.
I'm gonna have you do a sleight of hand check
Okay.
with advantage.
You really just give me this advantage.
The arrow didn't go through him, so there's not a lot of blood coming out.
Okay. So that's a 19 or... Yeah, we'll go with 19. That one was 17.
Alright, so the way the garden's set up, there's plenty of hiding places. So you look around and you notice there's kind of a, like, it's like a corner with a bench, and you kind of drag him over there, and he's pretty easy to drag. He's an elf, so he's relatively slim. His armor's not particularly heavy, and it's not a very good quality of armor either. And your arrow went right through it. Doesn't seem to be like any blood coming out of the wound. And you get him behind. You kind of sit there and you think to yourself, should I leave him in the bench? And then you think, no, I won't, because there's a dog patrolling. So you kind of slide him behind the bench, as like almost as if he would be sneaking to take a nap. And after looking down, you are very convinced if anyone saw him that they would just be like, he's napping. And based by the judge, like just looking at these guards, they probably wouldn't even bother to wake him up just because they don't really care.
Right.
And they've probably known each other for a while, so they're like, he's just sleeping, that's what he does. And the tremors have now stopped at this point, but people are still out there kind of talking like, oh, mercy me, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And what would you like to do now?
I'd like to reload my crossbow. Yeah, thwack. Does he have any weapons on him?
He had a short sword.
Yeah, I need a short sword. Do you have any gold on him? I'm trying to just like patting down his body to see if there's anything useful that I can take.
You pat him down, you get down to the hip and you find like something that probably shouldn't belong there, so you kind of pull it out. And he's got a little pouch of about 15 gold. Count it out real quick. It is 15 gold.
Oh.
Cool. So he had 15 gold on him.
Alright, I'll take that.
And are you leaving the weapons and all that?
Yeah, I'll just leave it on him.
Alright. And so now what would you like to do? Now you've looted him and got him hidden well.
I'll let's see. Now that the tremors have stopped and all that. So there's a second story balcony, you said?
Yes.
I'd like to take my climber's kit and like use my grappling hook and throw it up there. And like try and climb up to the second floor.
Alright, you notice this would be an easy climb because it has one of those like vine things on the side of it, and there's no vine there currently. So you throw a grappling hook up there, you get it set up. Yeah, I'm gonna make you roll for this. This is an automatic success.
Oh, alright.
You just climb up, you zip right up. It's a really easy climb. You probably didn't even need the grappling hook in all honesty, but it definitely helped.
Right.
And you're at the top now, and the doors are open, so you don't even have to open the doors. Looks like they're airing the house out and all that. A guard walks by at the end of the hallway, but it's all the way at the end of the hallway, and he doesn't even look your way. He just walks by. So you now know there's at least one guard inside. You're kind of sitting there crouched and whatnot. You hear something relatively loud in the street behind you. It's like a loud pop.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
I'll take a second and glance over to if I can see anything on the streets of the loud pop.
Because you're up high, you can actually see exactly what just happened. Dwarf ran right into one of those city guards, the storm shield guards, and they kind of turn around like, "What the hell?" Because they didn't expect him to run into him. And then the other guards are still following him. And they're catching up. Their gates are a little bit longer than his and whatnot. And just instinctively, because you knew there were more than one, you kind of look over, and you see there's two other dwarfs that have come out of the bush, and they're hiding a body in said bush. And you recognize this body instantly as another one of the guards. It's probably the guard that stayed back behind.
Right.
And they have already killed him, and you were impressed because you didn't even hear it.
Right.
The pop was the dwarf running into the soldiers in plate armor. And they kind of turn around, see that he's being chased by the other guys, and kind of grab him. And then like the other guys stop because like they're not in charge anymore. It's the storm shield guard in charge. They kind of look at him and like give him this look like, "What were you doing?" And then kind of tell him to get along, get out of here, and they like shove him away from like towards the exit of the sanctum. But you notice that the other dwarfs have now hidden the body and have disappeared down in the basement.
All right. So I kind of give a nod like, not bad. And I how do I want to approach this? So I kind of look inside real quick, and then
Do a perception check.
Yeah, I'll do a perception check real quick. I'm trying to see which direction to see if the bedroom would be nearby or not. It's a 17.
Alright, so you notice there's down the hallway, there's several doors on the right side, but there's only one door on the left. And judging by how large this manor is, that would probably be a bedroom. And the other ones would probably be just like guest rooms or something. And based off what Beth told you, you can assume the one door on the left is probably his bedroom. Which, based on the fact that there are people entering the building now, he's probably not in there, but it might be worth a check. Or maybe even just to wait there for a while.
Yeah, I'll go into the bedroom, or I'll start heading that way. Let me see if there's any other random things I can do. Let me look at my cantrips. Guys, shh, quiet. Go in the other room. You have this whole house that you can go play with your toys and all that stuff. Guys, go. Shoo. Go on.
Having some dog issues?
Yeah, dog issues. Go. Get out of here. So let's see. So now that those are all done, I'm freed up with my cantrips.
You can just faintly hear footsteps heading away from the hallway you're in, so you don't feel like anyone's going to be coming around to check the hallway anytime soon.
Okay.
You probably would have enough time to get to the door.
Alright, so I'll go to the door. Emma, shh, go. Yeah, I'll sneak over to the door and try to see if it's unlocked.
It is unlocked, but you kind of fiddle with the handle and it opens immediately.
Alright, so I kind of open the door quietly and then kind of close it behind me. And look to see if there's anyone inside.
There is no one inside this room. It is abandoned. But you were right with your assumption that it is probably someone who lives in the house's bedroom. And it is a magnificent bed, centered in the room against the far wall. You see a large closet. You see like some wardrobes and stuff. Nothing you could probably hide in, but they do probably contain maybe some loot you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And you see there's like do a perception check.
Yeah, I'll do a perception check real quick. That's an 8.
So you see like a light coming from under the closet door, but it doesn't strike you as odd. It's just maybe there's like a candle on in there or something, and they just left it on.
In the closet?
It doesn't strike. Yeah, which is kind of odd, but at the same time, like it's not like super odd because it's weird. It might even be there might be a window and it might be daylight coming in from the way it looks. What would you like to do in the room?
I would like to. I'm kind of looking around the room and try and put something, not to like bar the door, but put something that if the door was open, it would fall and make a noise, so I would know if someone's coming in the room, like a broom or like a coat rack or something.
So you make a quick check, and you notice there's like a coat rack which has like a robe hanging off of it and like a trench coat hanging off of it. And it's almost close enough to where you could literally just kind of slide it real quick against the door, or not against the door, but next to the door. So if it were to open, it would tip over, and whoever had opened the door would be like, "What was that?" and kind of look at that before they check anywhere else in the room. So you set that up real quick, and you don't make like any noise because the floor's got this beautiful fine rug on it. And it's just you just put it right there against the door. And you hear a cough outside, but it doesn't seem to be coming your way. It's just kind of a faint cough. You're like, probably the guard who was patrolling. And then, what would you like to do now?
Since I have that set up, I'll go to that wardrobe real quick. Well, I guess I'll go to the door, and I'll do a investigation check to check for traps.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, that's the other piece of paper. Okay, so that would be, I don't have any proficiency with that, so it's +2. Yeah, that's 4.
Alright, so you don't, you kind of tinker with the door, but you don't really know what you're doing because you haven't really dealt with a lot of trap doors before. So you notice on the outside there's nothing that would indicate a trap.
Okay.
And all that. So what would you like to do?
I would like to kind of slowly, kind of cautiously open the door and look inside.
So you open the door, and it's just silent. It's a normal door. You just open it up normally.
Hmm.
And in the back corner, with a coat kind of laying over it, trying to hide it, but whoever was hiding it obviously didn't expect anyone to come looking for it, is some sort of arcane looking box. And from what you can tell, you can't see the opening mechanism or anything on it, but it's up against the corner, trying to be hidden.
Okay,
What would you like to do?
how big is the box? Is it like a small, like something I could carry, or is it like a chest kind of box?
If you were to carry it, it would be relatively hard,
Okay,
but you could always open it up and look and see what's inside.
all right. Can I do a Arcana check to see if there's any like wards or any kind of magical thing that would cause problems if I were to open it?
Go ahead.
Okay. That's 16.
All right, so you kind of sit there, you kind of slowly reach your hand out. You don't feel anything that would transmit magic. You do get from the. It feels like there's something inside of the box. It doesn't feel ominous or anything. It kind of feels like a clarity coming through the box, and
Okay.
the box is kind of like trying to hide that because it's a very strong feeling.
Okay. I would kind of looking over my shoulder, checking to see that the door is still closed. I'll close the closet door,
Okay.
and then I'll go to try and open it.
All right, so you close the door behind you. You sneak a little bit more in, and you take the coat off, and there appears to be a lock on the front of it, just like a normal lock. Do you want to try to pick it?
I would, and I have proficiency in these tools, so I would get, let's say,
Advantage.
Oh, I don't think it's advantage. I think I just get my proficiency bonus on top of it. So I think it's just a +4. Yeah.
Okay.
+4, so that's a 10. Bah.
So you fiddle with the lock for a minute, and you kind of realize that you kind of feel stupid at this point because you realize the lock isn't even locked.
Oh.
So whoever put this on here probably gets whatever's in here out pretty often. So he'd kind of just take it off and put it on the side like, oh, I feel silly. So it wasn't even locked.
Oh.
But so it's kind of funny. It's
Yeah, I
kinda
kind of just
laughing.
I kind of chuckle and just say, I'm too cautious. Like I go and take the lock and like I put it to the side.
And would you like to open the lid?
I would.
As you open the lid, you hear a very loud, and it's directly behind you, like in the doorway.
Oh.
What would you like to do?
I would like to quietly put the lid back down. And then I would like
Um,
to. Oh, did it come from the box or it came from like the coat rack knocking over?
You're not really sure. You definitely wasn't the coat rack. It was some loud magical crackle, like almost inside the closet. It's inside the closet with you.
Okay. I close the box and like go to turn with my crossbow.
So you turn with your crossbow, and you're really baffled at what you see because there is some sort of portal opened up inside the closet door now, or where the door was, and you see like at first it's kind of a blurry kind of like image of like it looks like almost things fighting, and then a insect creature comes up like face level, like he's supposed to be talking through this, like it's like some kind of camera to another area or something, for modern terms. And he kind of looks around, and he kind of like sees you, looks around again, and then like leans in a little bit. And you see like an arrow whiz by his head. He kind of looks over his shoulder real quick, then back to you, and he's like, "I don't have much time. Is that you, Gideon?"
I just say, who? What? Like he's just baffled.
Yeah, like you have no idea. You've never even seen whatever this thing is, and it somehow knows your name. And he's kind of like, he's kind of. There's definitely something going on, very dire in the background, like some sort of battle. You can hear like metal clanking every now and then, but it's kind of like it fades in and out, like it's kind of like a distorted sound.
Mhm.
And you notice it's kind of loud, so you might start drawing attention if this thing stays open long
I
enough.
just kind of say, like, what do you
And
want?
then-
Quick.
It's me, Victor, your friend. And at this, you have no idea who this is. And then, like, a sudden realization seems to go over his insect face, and he's like, "You haven't met me yet. Ah, fuck." So we're doing some sort of time magic right now, and it's not very stable, as you can tell.
It's not very stable. It's not really convenient. Like, I just start, like, trying to shush him up.
And he's like, okay, I'll try to be quick. He's like kind of like baffled at first, trying to like come to the realization that you don't know who he is, and like the sounds are kind of dying off. Like there's still battle sounds, but it's more quiet now, so you feel more comfortable that you're not going to be overheard through two doors
Right.
and whatnot. And he's like, first off, you're going to meet a gnome druid. He will be very helpful in your journeys, and I don't know if he'll be a friend, but he is very helpful. And then he kind of looks around and he's like, your friend. He's part of the Ebon Eye. And he kind of
Demas.
looks around. Yes, him, Demas. He's going to give you two options later on. Don't pick option 2. I don't remember what it was, but don't pick it, whatever you do. And then he kind of like starts fading out. And he's like, oh no, I'm out of time. And he's like, remember, the Lich King. And then it just gone. And when it goes, boom, loud pop, super loud. Like someone has heard this. You know for a fact they have heard this. And you hear boot steps coming down. And then
I reach over, flip open the box real quick while I still have the crossbow in hand, and just look to see what's inside.
Okay, so inside, there's this stone, and it's probably about the length of both your hands put together, and it's very beautifully cut, and it kind of sings to you like, kind of feeling, but you realize it's not making noise. You feel clarity when you look at this, and like there's a cloth underneath it that you could use to wrap it up and grab it and take it if you wanted without touching it,
Yep.
or you could just outright grab it. So you want to do that?
I take the cloth, wrap it up, and just put it in my bag real quick, and then turn back to the closet door with my crossbow.
Okay, so as you turn back to the closet door and you have it secured in your backpack, the stone, whatever it is, you hear the door inside open, you hear the clatter of the coat rack fall, you hear the guard, God damn it! And then he goes over, and you can hear him picking it up, and he kind of looks around, and you hear his footsteps thump, 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 getting closer to the door, and like right as he's about to open the door, like you can like sense he's about to touch the handle. You hear someone, "Hi, get your ass down here! They're serving beverages!" And like he stops. You kind of hear him sigh, turns around, and he's like, "That probably wasn't anything, anyways." And then you hear him walk back out of the door. You hear the door close behind him, and you're pretty confident that he has left the room. What would you like to do?
Okay. He just kind of like sits there and just like kind of like lets out a heavy breath. He takes a second, thinks about whatever the teleportation time travel thing was. He's baffled by it, and he like shakes his head, and he looks down at the. He kind of takes it back out and looks down at this gem. Can you do can I do an Arcana check to see if I recognize this? Like if I've ever sold one of these before or stolen it before or something like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. That's a natural 1.
So you've never dealt with anything like this yourself, but you have heard rumors of these things called Kellstones. And from what you've heard, this is probably a Kellstone, which, if it is, you know it can grant someone incredible powers, and it's also very, very, very expensive. And that's about all you can know right now. You know it would, if you had to guess, you'd probably be able to sell this thing for 50,000 gold. But then at the same time, part of your mind's like, what kind of power can it grant me? Because you don't fully know. You kind of just half-ass listen to the stories, and they don't come up very often. There's just people, oh, I found one back in my youth, and it granted me this.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of brush off the stories and whatnot. But other than that, you don't know what it is.
Right. Uh, um, hmm, hmm. 50,000 gold is pretty nice.
It is.
I'll pocket it for now, and I'll deal with it later. I have a job to do. Okay,
All right.
just drop it back in my bag.
You drop it back in your bag, and what would you like to do now? And you can
Um,
hear downstairs. There's some music playing, and the party or whatever's going on is definitely started.
okay. So I kind of go open up the closet door. Um, kind of go put the coat rack back up, back where it would fall down again.
Okay.
And then I would like to pretty much just scour the room to see if I can find anything valuable.
You take a minute. Go ahead and do a perception check.
Okay. That and also, yeah, I'll do that, and I'm also looking for like any kind of documents about like the Griffin Order or anything like that to see if just see if I can find anything to steal and also any information. I guess.
All right.
All right.
Um,
I got a perception.
yes.
15.
Okay, so you kind of go around. There's a few like wardrobes and dressers you check. You find 100 gold scattered
Ooh.
throughout the room, um, just in various drawers and whatnot. And you open one of them, and like the pants pockets are sitting there open with gold sticking out. It's like, oh, kind of weird, but all right, you take it. And then you notice as you take the gold out of that, the reason the pocket was open is there was a letter in there too big to actually stay in the pocket without being noticed. So you kind of grab it and
Yeah.
fiddle around for a minute and open it, and you can't read it because it's an elvish.
Okay. I'll
So
just
you're kind of like,
kind of put it in the
darn.
bag, just kind
But
of toss it in there.
as you like scan over to make sure it's all in elvish, you do a quick glance. You do see the emblem of the Griffin Order on it, so you know it has something to do with them.
Hmm.
You just can't read it. So you pocket that, and what would you like to do now?
Okay. And this is like just a room. Does it have like a balcony to like outside, or does it have like anything that leads towards the ballroom or anything like that, or is it just kind of just a room?
You notice another door straight across from the closet, and um, it's kind of ajar. And based on how it's opened, you can tell it doesn't lead anywhere. It's probably like a bathroom or something like that. So you realize that you're not going to be able to get anything out of this room without leaving it. There's a window next to the closet door you could climb back outside with if you don't want to risk the door. But other than that, pretty much the only two ways in this room are the door and then that window.
Gotcha.
What would you like to do?
I would like to sit down, I guess, and just conveniently for the player. I'm gonna go to the bathroom because I really had to go to the bathroom. I'll be
Okay.
back. I won't stop the recording. I'll just be back in like 30 seconds.
All right.
All right, so guys, be right back. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Be back in like 30 seconds to a minute. Be right back.
All right. He's gone. So I'm here to entertain you guys. He looks around the room. It's a nice room. There's a bed with some canopy blanketing hanging over the from the top. It's real nice. The window is overlooking the garden. It has a beautiful view into the garden. Um, the closet doors next to it. He's already been in there. You've seen him take some stuff out of it and all that. And it's a very noble bedroom and whatnot. And as he's sitting down, you hear music coming in from the lower floor. Definitely a party going on. Some laughter, glasses clinking, and all that. And yeah, that's what's going on as he uses the bathroom. Sounds like he's about to come back.
All right.
All right, so welcome back.
Thank you.
What would you like to do now?
All right. I'm trying to think of what Gideon would do. Because I know that he wouldn't risk going out and trying to find him, like, in the middle of a party. Because that would be really just. That would be
Especially
difficult.
without your dress on.
Yeah,
Or your
I would had to.
clothes.
I would have to put it on. But then again, once I found him, it would be hard for me to. I would probably say. Because Gideon is more patient and like calm, and he doesn't really rush out for things. I'm legitimately going to go and sit in his room somewhere, probably in the corner, like how the door. I'm guessing it's like a door that opens inward.
It does, yes.
Okay, so I would like to sit in the corner, um, like where I'm trying to sit in the corner behind where the door would open up.
And there would be enough room for you to stay there, even if the door were to be flung wide open and whatnot. You decide to sit there and wait.
Yeah, I take out my crossbow, um, and I pull out my crossbow and sit there. Um, and I'm just gonna wait to see what happens. I'll wait for a while, maybe like an hour or two, just because he's more of like he's in his hunting mode where he's like, I know patience is more important. Like he kind of reflects on the things that his father taught him of like his previous when he first started off. He was really aggressive and let his emotions take the best of him, and it like led to one of his biggest slip ups. Um, so he's learned to be patient and to wait for his target to come to him, and he's just going to sit there
Okay.
for like an hour or two and see if the target comes in.
So, as you sit there, you hear the party, and there's music and clanking of glasses and laughter, and every now and then you hear like a girl kind of like scream, like a happy giddy scream, like she was surprised by something that happened. You
Hmm.
hear some pops. Sounds like some magical fireworks show or something's going on. Indoors, oddly enough. And then, after about 45 minutes of waiting, um, you can hear some heavy footsteps, and it appears there's four people coming, and they're coming down the hallway towards the bedroom. And the door is opened, and you did move the hat rack where it would fall again.
Yeah.
Or did you move it away?
No, I
So
left
the
it there.
hat, or the so if they open the door, would it fall over or not?
Yeah.
Okay, it would fall over.
Hmm.
So they come in, and it falls over, and go ahead and do a stealth check for me.
Okay. That's not as good as I like. That's a 11.
So where you'd set it up, it falls, and the way it fell, they have to kind of come around the door to pick up the stuff.
Oh.
Luckily, they seem to be they're more aggravated again at this coat rack that has fallen, but they don't notice you, and you realize that this is probably your target because he's a tiefling, and the name Fellheart automatically kind of sends you to that assumption.
Hmm.
But his friends are with him, and he doesn't notice you. He just picks up the stuff, and luckily the coats didn't fall off, so he literally just grabs it and slams it back up. And he's like, I swear to God, I'm going to move this to the other side of the room one of these days. And there's a light blue dragonborn with him, a black dragonborn with him, which is the one you recognize from earlier. And you notice something odd about the light blue one is that he's not wearing that ugly ass uniform that or that outfit that everyone else is wearing. He seems to be more into like a traditional garb for what you would expect Dragonborn to be wearing. And then there's another figure. You can't tell what it is. He has his back to you. He's taller than a human. You just get, but humans do come in various sizes, so he still could be. And he's got his back to you, so you can't see who he is. And he's wearing like almost like ceremonial robes. And they walk in the room together, and like they kind of are standing at the end of the bed,
Hmm.
and they're speaking in common right now. And your target turns and looks at the light blue dragonborn. He's like, "Are you sure the proud spire family can't be more help?" And At this, the light blue dragonborn looks at him and he says, "Whatever you're trying to do here, I get the feeling is not completely legal, and my family doesn't deal in such dealings, so I will not be of any help here with you. And I apologize for that, but at the same time, I'm not particularly sorry I'm not going to be helping you with this, whatever you're trying to do with this stupid Griffin order. I don't want anything to do with it." And he kind of turns around and, like, where you're at, you're kind of behind like an open door,
Mm-hmm.
and he stares dead into your eyes, and you know he knows you're there. And he kind of stares at you, and no one else has been alerted. He kind of nods.
Okay.
Like, it's odd to you that he nods, but he continues walking, and he leaves the room. Then, so knowing that he saw you, you kind of slink back behind the door, so if anyone else would have turned, they wouldn't see you.
Right.
And you're really, like, your heart's racing at this point, because you aren't used to being spotted, and he just saw you instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even, like, think twice about it. But he doesn't say anything, which is kind of weird to you. And so your heart's racing, you're sitting back. They start speaking in Infernal, which luckily you speak. And you can't tell who he's speaking to. The other dragonborn there kind of clears his throat. He obviously doesn't know what they're talking about. And the cultist says, or not the cultist, the dude in the robe, immediately what he says, you realize he's a cultist. He's like, "Well, we still have this dragonborn we can sacrifice." And it's like, his blood will do. It'll seize what we're doing. It'll appease what we're doing. And his voice is very foreign to you. You've never heard it. Like, you've heard things speak before, but he, like, almost hisses as he talks. But he's speaking in Infernal, so you understand what he's saying.
Right.
And then your target says, good, we'll take them down to the basement. And then the Dragonborn's like, "Do you take care to inform me what you two are talking about?" And they're like, "Well, we're kind of disturbed with the fact that Proud Spy family doesn't want to help, but you, the Long Talons, you're still in, right?" And he kind of looks around. He's like, "I am, yes. I would be very happy to help. And without the Proud Spies, I can assume my reward would be doubled then, right?" And the Tiefling and the cultist both laugh, and they're like, of course. And they kind of, the Fellheart puts his arm around them, and they start to walk out of the room, and they leave.
Wait. So, questions. Is there is this room lit by candles, or is it like torches, or?
There are candles, but none of them are lit, and the window across the room is providing most of the light for the room. It's dimly lit.
Okay. So here's what I'd like to do. This cultist, what race is he? Or am I able to tell? Shoot, hold on. I think the thing crashed. Yep. Alright, so of course, at the most intense moment, the freaking audio cuts out and my internet just decides to be shite. So let me mute this real quick. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.